Our daughter has been wanting to go up the stairs by herself recently, and she's really good at it, but she tries to hold onto the railing, and not only is it too high for her, but it's also too thick, and she can't wrap her hands around it. So we figured we'd add another handrail, one that's not only at her height, but also more to her size. This whole project was only $100, well, it's less than $100, and can be done within a weekend, if not even sooner. So as you can see here, we're bringing in the railing itself. We got this from Lowe's for about $55, and this is a 12-foot long one. All the railings I found locally were unfinished unless you were willing to spend a lot of money to get a pre-finished one, but finishing it yourself is both cheap and really easy. We chose to leave it a natural wood color, and we're just going to do a clear coat for the finish. The reason why we chose that is because that's what's in our house already with the main railing, so it's going to match. You can see here, this is what we're going to be using for the finish. It's a product called Polycritic by Minwax. It's water-based, looks like milk when you apply it. It's really easy to work with. You can just apply it with a brush or even one of those foam brushes that you get for super cheap. It dries pretty quickly, and you can pick this up for about $10. You can see here you're going to need some hardware. Here's the mounts that I'll be using. They're the same style as the one in our house. I'm going to be getting the same number of them that's on our larger handrail. We happen to have 3, but a lot of the houses will have more. I picked these up for about $3.50 each. Here's the brush I'm going to be using, and I think I spent around $8 on it, but the polyacrylic finish is water-based, and so it's really easy to clean up, so I'll probably be able to use this brush for a long time. And then lastly, you're just going to need some medium to fine grit sanding paper. For the final sanding, I think the manufacturer calls for about 220 grit. Here I am getting the plastic wrap off the handrail. From the factory it's pretty smooth, but I'm choosing to put a sanding block over it before I throw the finish on. I'm also going to the very ends. As you can see here, I'm sanding the edges to make it a little more rounded because they're pretty pokey from the factory. Make sure you take a rag, make sure all the dust is off before starting the clear coat. I'm preparing the clear coat now. You don't want to shake this, you only want to stir it, you don't want to create bubbles. So you can see it looks like I'm mixing skim milk with my stir stick. So I'm just using my brush to apply a healthy amount of clear coat on it, but it's not too much to create drips. If you end up creating drips, then you can just sand it off after, or if you happen to catch it before it dries, just wipe it off with the cloth. Another thing I should note, the manufacturer recommends using your wife's folding chairs to hold your project on. After about 2 hours, you can take your sandpaper and very lightly go over it until it feels smooth. Don't forget to take a rag over it after you're done sanding to get all the dust off. So I'm not going to show the rest of the finishing process because it's the same steps, but you can get away with only doing 2 coats if you want, but the manufacturer suggests 3. Since this is a handrail, it's going to get a lot of oil from hands and whatever else is on my daughter's hands. So we're going to be doing 4 coats. And then after your last coat, the manufacturer wants you to wait 3 hours and then do another very light sanding on it. And if you've done it right, you should be left with a very smooth surface, and in our case, it's a clear satin finish. So the easiest way to install this onto the actual wall is if you have an existing handrail. If you have an existing handrail already, these should be mounted on studs. So you should be able to go straight down with your new mount and go ahead and drill right into that stud and mount them mirrored all the way down. Now you can verify that this is actually a stud with a stud finder. And then what I do, I'm just going to take a measurement from basically the bottom of this mount to the top of where I want my next one. And I'm going to do that all the way down. So we're just going to repeat this process, going all 3 down. So before we can actually attach these little brackets onto our railing, we need to pre-drill these holes so we don't split the wood. So just get a drill bit about the same size just slightly smaller than these screws. And then I just take a piece of tape, basically mark it to make sure I don't go any deeper than I need to. Measure out the distance on your brackets, center them basically on your board here, and then just drill your 2 holes on each bracket and start attaching these. And as a general rule, make sure you always measure twice, cut once, or measure twice in this case, drill once. So what I'm going to do now is put these brackets on, but very loose, because we want to have plenty of room, plenty of wiggle room to move them around so we can actually get them set in place. So now that we've got all this wiggle room, we can actually set it up on the bracket and then know exactly where we need to pre-drill for our next holes. So I couldn't show it on video, but I lifted that and put it in place. I'm basically just resting the bottom of it on that bracket, and I went ahead and tightened it up, so that should be how it sits. And now it's easy enough. We can just grab this, set it on where it needs to go, and we can just put our new bracket in there, and we know exactly where our pilot holes need to go. So I'm not going to show drilling the pilot holes because you guys should know how to do that now. And you can see this is the final product now. Only one thing left. Hey guys, thanks for watching. This was an quick, easy video. Thanks for always supporting our channel, and we'll see you on the next one.